Hello, my lovely flowers. I did something really interesting. I went on a date by myself. I took myself out on a solo date. At first, I sat there and I felt so like, wow, am I really doing this on my own? I have been in relationships for most of my life, and this is not the first time I've ever done it, but it's something I decided to do. I wanted to go somewhere. I'm a coupon person. I had a coupon I wanted to that I must use today. And I could have used it yesterday, I could have used it before, but today was the last day. So I went ahead and went to the restaurant. When I sat down, it was kind of like, yes, give me a water with lemon. And I was like, man, I probably look pretty pathetic. I look pretty pitiful right now. But as the waitress came over, it was a big battle of who wanted to serve me. And, you know, I realized no, this is not pitiful. It's okay to date yourself. It's okay to experience life, even when nobody else wants to do it with you. And that's how you really truly learn about self. That is how you really get to understand and be still with self, not just not intimate, but in general. And even when it comes to going out, what do I have to be embarrassed about? I love myself. I'm thankful for God where I'm at in my life, and I've been doing the work. And if the parties that are supposed to be in my life are not available or it's not God's timing, I'm okay with that. And I had to learn to embrace self. And there's more to the story. Pretty much the waitresses were arguing over who were going to serve me. And it was like, wow, whoever wants to serve me, I'm grateful for it. But even in that, it was just like, wow, maybe it's not that bad, you know. Um, but there was a situation that happened. The waitress was very rude, the one who actually ended up staying with me. She was rude, she was nasty, and I was just like, I haven't even asked, I barely asked for water, and I said thank you, and, I was trying to be polite. Well, she went on and she never came, well, for a while she didn't come back, and she's just like, what do you want to drink? And I told her the gentleman had already brought me some water, and she's like, oh, well, is there anything you want to order? I'm like, yes, I would like to order my food. And it had been like 20 minutes, okay? It had been a while. And she had other tables before me. She had like two other families, like a family of four and a family of three. And then while I was sitting there, and then the table next to me was probably like maybe 8 people, and they were older church folks. And it was a little bit later, closer to closing time. But she came back over and she's like, you said you wanted to order. What did you want to order? And I just kind of looked at her and I smiled a little bit. And she was just like, she made like this face. I'm just like, okay. I said, are you having a good night? And she's just like, yeah, that's fine. What did you want to eat? I was like, okay. So I went ahead and ordered my food. And then she came back and I was like, may I please have a straw for my water? And she's just like, he didn't give you a straw. I was like, no, I just need a straw for my water. And I could tell like she was getting irritated. And it's like, I had to look at myself like, am I making this woman irritated? Like, all I did was get seated. Actually, and at this point, she goes, is that all? And it's like, this must be a theme because when we're out of town, but somebody that kept saying, is there anything else? Is there anything else? And it's like, you can't even get your actual thing that you were asking for out before they can say, is there anything else? And it kind of was like a chuckle in my spirit, but then it's an inside joke. But anyway, so this woman brings out the order, and then I noticed I was missing 2 items, and including silverware. And so probably another 10 minutes go by, I kid you not. She finally goes over to the table that was next to me with the party of 8 church folks. And she's like, what do you want to drink? What do you want to drink? Okay. And she's like, I'll be back. And like they were looking like, oh my goodness. And so when she brought 2 waters back for that table, mind you, there's 8. Didn't bring a tray out. The story's getting a little bit long, but there's a moral. I promise. At the end, there's a moral. And so the family side were on the other side. The family of four, family of three, they had been waiting. So the gentleman had brought their food. I was like, wait, that doesn't go to that table. That doesn't go to this table. And he's just like, I was trying to help you out. Where do you want me to put it? It's just like, I don't know. I don't care. Just do whatever you want. And so I'm just like, man, this is showing poor customer service. This is showing poor service. I know we are all short staffed and things like that, but just the way, the demeanor, the attitude, and things like that, that the waitress was displaying not only to her coworkers but also to the parties that she was serving. And what do you call it? So the waitress looks at me and I'm like, and she's just like, yes, did you need anything else? And I was just like, well, I don't have it. And so I'm like, yes, I don't have any silverware. And she's just like, oh wow, he didn't give it to you. I'm like, no, neither did you. And I'm just thinking, at this point, he hasn't been my server, you've been my server. Like, from the time that I got my waters, she's been my server. She didn't ask for it. She's like, I will just bring you some bread too. And I'm like, thank you. Not that I really want the bread or anything like that, but that's what you're supposed to do that. So she goes, is there anything else I can do for you? I said, not right now. Well, I noticed I was still missing one of my side dishes, and I thought maybe she went to get it or something. She began to take the other party's order, and anything that they said, she was like, I don't know what that is. Oh, I don't know. Well, do you want something else? I don't know what that is. And this is like, you don't know what a salad. It was just becoming a lot. So I sat there at my food. She was trying to take orders with them. It was a hot mess. And then behind them, the two families, they were waiting and waiting. The one of the wives was just like, at this point, she was just like, all on the table. Like, I mean, if you can't tell by people's demeanor that they're either tired of waiting, they need something, or that it's sped up at this point, like, there has to be something. So anyway, I gave her my phone number because I wanted my rewards. I'm like, okay, that's the number one reason I chose today to go. It was the last day, and I made it a point to do it. And like, nobody else wanted to go or was available to go, so I took myself out of it. Well, she moved like my check. She asked me, do I need anything else at my check and some boxes. At this point, just my appetite. I'm just like, I don't even want to eat right now. I'm trying not to act out of character because she's acting. Okay, so she brought my check. She did not take my rewards off, which all of my points. Okay, I specifically chose this day because, hey, I couldn't do any other days. Well, she's just like, okay, I'll take it off. I'm like, thank you, but can you also, you never brought me my side dishes. She goes, yes, I did. And I'm like, I have everything on the table here. Like, this is my this. I did not get anything in a separate bowl or anything like that. And I said, where would I put it? Like, there's no other place to put it on this plate. As you can see, everything was lined. It's just like, oh, okay, I guess I forgot it. I said, you know what? I'm going to share something with you. Because I know if it comes from someone else, it's not going to be that pretty. It's not going to be nice. I'm coming from a caring, loving place, but I feel like you need to hear this, where I'm not gonna get you in trouble. I'm not gonna sit here and, be rude and nasty with you. I'm not gonna play that game. We all have long days. We all have things that we suffer with and deal with, and stress of life and everything like that. But you have to understand, when you're serving people, especially in food and things like that, people feel like, okay, if this person is having a rough day, what are they doing to my food? This kind of thing. And she was looking at me, and her eyes started welling up in tears. And I'm like, I promise you, I'm not going off on you. I'm actually just hoping that this is a word of advice, because someone else is not going to do the same. They're going to either yell at you, not want to pay, try to get you in trouble, or not say anything and then report it later. I want you to know that I see that you're working hard and you have a lot of people all at one time. I get it. But please understand that when you're showing up, you have to really show up. And you have to understand, in service, people aren't going to be that concerned. I'm not going to say that I'm not, because I see it. But, and she was just crying. She's like, you didn't have to say that, you know. I am having a really rough day. It's like my first week here, and it's been a lot, and it's late. I'm really just ready to go home. And she's like, thank you for taking the time to say those things to me. As soon as she said that, she turned around and she's like, is there anything else? I'm like, yes, I still need to get this done. And she was like, oh, okay. But it's like the attitude came back, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, did you really receive what I said, or what? I'm confused. And the other people at the table, they were just like looking at me, and they were shaking their head. They're just like, we're just, I can't believe she's acting that way. And I was like, maybe she's having a rough day. We just started talking. Well, little did I know. Little did I know that the table beside me, like I said, they appeared to be God-filled spiritual people, but the pastor and a few of the congregation members were there, and he's like, young lady, he's like, do you mind if I pay your tab? And I was just like, you don't have, okay, sure. I'm learning, look, when it comes, when your blessings come, be quiet and receive it, and it's okay. And don't shun your blessings, because I know when I want to give a blessing, just like even speaking to that young woman, or giving money, or give whatever I can, or help, advice, being there, being supportive, whatever. God blesses me. God blesses that person that's receiving. Blessed to be a blessing, right? And it's just a cycle that I believe in. So I said, yes, sir, that would be okay. I appreciate you offering that. We, outside of, the waitress, we weren't really speaking. And so then I said, but before you do, she's supposed to correct my tab and, take my reward off. He was just like, oh, don't worry about that. I said, I just want to make sure that is corrected, because if it was another situation, someone would have handled it different. He was just like, no, you handled that well. He was like, she probably needed to hear that in the way that you delivered it. And I said, wow, thank you. I didn't know you were really listening. But then his wife, or I guess another person in the congregation, a young woman across from him, she was just like, I need to give you my card. She was just like, I feel like we need to connect. And we started talking about different things. And she's like, you handled that well. And what's funny? You took the time to talk to her, and then he was led to bless you. I said, this is a blessing. I appreciate it. So I'm on a solo date, and here I am on this day, this time. So everything has a divine time. Like, I could have went yesterday, things would have been great, but I really know that God put you in a place to help others, and sometimes it's a test for ourselves. Like, it could have been a test for my patience, and to see how it's going to react to something in this situation. But really, I thank God for using me in a time to minister and talk to someone for where they are. That young lady could have been ready to go end it all because of her rough night, or met someone else who would have added more to that. But I wanted to let her know that I see her. God loves her. She's going to be okay. Don't you know, before I got up from the table, that the pastor paid my meal, and he said, that tab is on me, don't give her that bill. Which I'm like, thank you so much. So I was blessed from it. And I forgot this part. So one of her coworkers came over and was telling us this story. Well, it all made all the dots come together, which was there was a con artist who came in and was asking for change from a counterfeit bill. They kept flipping it until they got all their money back, and she didn't realize what was going on. At the end of the night, I guess she found out that all of her tips and everything that she was exchanging their money for, she ended up getting counterfeit bills. So when the other party came and told us, there was another lady at the table, and when the waitress came back, she said, did you hear what that young lady said? And talking about me, and she was just like, yes. And she was like, I hope you listen to her, and I hope that you take it to heart. And she said, all of us here are kind of just watching you, and we want the best for you. And mind you, she was a Caucasian lady, which, we don't want to always consider race, but this particular time, it was part, I believe that was part of it, to show her that it doesn't matter race, creed, background, God loves you. And then also, she reached in her purse and she gave that lady $50. Now, altogether, they said at first she had lost 80, but when we talked to her, she had only lost 40. But still, that's a lot. Especially when you're caught up in some kind of counterfeit. This is your first week on the job, but that's a lot going on. Then at the end of this night, all these people ordering all this stuff. Okay, so she said, "Oh, I can't take that." And the lady was just like, "You need to take this money." She was just like, when someone gives you something, especially something like a tip, and you know you need it, be blessed. That's God blessing you. He's returning the favor from what happened to you. And she was just crying, crying, crying. And she looked at me. She said, "Thank you so much for talking to me." And she looked at the other lady. She said, "Thank you so much for blessing me with this." And so the pastor, he ended up paying for everything on my side. And I was just like, wow, thank you. I thanked everyone. And then when I was walking out, the girl, she was like, "I'm so sorry for my behavior. And thank you for talking to me." And I gave her a hug. So I just said all that to say that you never know what someone else is going through. I could have been so consumed in the fact that I was going on a solo date and nobody had taken me out, nobody wanted to go with me, but it was something that was meant to happen for myself in more than one level and area of my life for just that moment. And it also was able to bless someone else, and then someone else was able to bless me, and then someone else was able to bless her. And that whole table, I feel like coming together was able to be a blessing because everyone ordered, and just all those kind of things. So service alone is not just one-sided. It is reciprocation in multiple layers. Everyone always thinks, "Oh, I give you some, give me some back," but that's just not what it's about. It happens that way. That's not the only thing it's about. So I hope someone got the moral of my story. So even in my solo, in my time alone, to decide to date myself this night, I did not really get full off of the food. I didn't even eat all my food, but I definitely got full off of the lessons that time was meant to teach me. And even my daughter, she's a teenager, and she just says, "Mom, it's okay. You tell us all the time to be alone in our room and be creative and be, fill our space." And she's like, "It's okay. Go on your date. Be alone. You never know what could happen." So that could have meant, oh, you might run into someone that's interested in you or something like that. But God, it was a divine setup. This day, this time, this place. Because I could have went to a restaurant that was on the other side of town, but I went to this one at this day. So I met some amazing people, was able to be used by God, and also be blessed. So you guys be blessed. Have a good night. Oh, this is still going.